Hi, I'm Liisa Ladouceur, and I'm still alive. I think back in January now, I did a video and said I was going to start vlogging on this channel. And then where does the time go? I don't know, guys. But I'm here today, even though it's very hot out and I feel like sweaty, to talk about something different, to talk about records. I started this channel about alternative fashion, goth, subcultural fashion. And I plan to make more of those videos and talk more about that. But music is really important to me in life, and I would like to expand our subcultural conversations here to talk about goth and goth related music at times. So I saw something go around Facebook, top 10 albums that changed my life, and I thought this would be a way into it for me, because to do any kind of definitive list in one video I think would be impossible. So these are not the best goth records or anything like that. They are some personal stories about music that mattered to me in my life. Like last time, I'm new to this, so if you have comments about how to make these videos better or what kinds of things you would like me to talk about, by all means, let me know. But for today, let's talk about 10 records that changed my life. The first record on my list is completely obvious to anyone who knows me, and it is the cult Love. This is the record that was my gateway drug to everything goth related, alternative, punk even. When I saw the video for She Sells Sanctuary, say that 5 times fast with a lisp, She Sells Sanctuary on Much Music, which was our MTV, I was completely bewitched by Ian Astbury and his like shaman dance and his lips, but mostly by the sound of that song, the howl of it, the reverb of it, the way that it like kicks you at the beginning and then never lets you go for like 4 minutes. I had never heard anything like that because I didn't listen to rock music as a kid. I liked pop and new wave when that was happening. I avoided classic rock, so this was new to me, and I loved it. I've described it as like a blood transfusion. I looked the same after hearing this record, but inside I was very different. So as soon as I came to Toronto next, where they had record stores, I bought the Love album and discovered Rain and Revolution and Phoenix and all these bangers that I still listen to like on road trips to this day. But also Brother Wolf, Sister Moon and Hollow Man, and the more atmospheric, moody songs that I think might appeal to more of the goth crowd. You might only know the Cult as a hard rock band they play at hockey arenas. I didn't know them when they were the Southern Death Cult or the Death Cult doing post-punk, punk rock music. I met them during this transition phase. Everything on here holds up in 2018. You can play this and yeah, it's nostalgic, but it also still slays. So my number one album that changed my life that I think everyone needs to listen to. It's the Cult, Love. Next record is also British, it's also from the mid-80s, spoiler alert, I liked that stuff a lot. It's the debut from Love and Rockets, Seventh Dream of Teenage Heaven. I bought this one in my hometown because there was a big hit called Ball of Confusion, which I also saw on Much Music, and that meant they sold this at the Zellers, which was like our version of Target or Walmart back in the day. Yeah, I saw Ball of Confusion, and I was like, who are these 3 cool guys? I just really dug the vibe of that song, didn't know it was a cover, just liked how groovy and angry it was. Then I discovered they were the 3 guys from a band called Bauhaus. So I discovered Bauhaus because Love and Rockets had a hit on the radio. And I think that's why I don't judge people for how they discover music at any age. You know, whatever gets you to the thing that like does it for you is cool with me. There's a song on this album called Haunted When the Minutes Drag. It's one of the best gothic songs of all time. If you haven't heard it, I'm going to put the link in the video description because you have to. This record is extremely diverse. It's groovy, it's psychedelic, it's glam, it's goth. I think it's a great album if you don't really know what you like, or if you like a lot of different things. still holds up. Seventh Dream of Teenage Heaven. And when I pulled this out to shoot this video, I was reminded that I interviewed Daniel Ash at some point later on in life, and he drew me a little bubble man in this record. So now I love it all the more. Love and Rockets. I really hope they reunite someday, but in the meantime, there's Pop Tone, which plays a lot of Love and Rockets material, and they're touring now, so go see them. Get to hear these awesome songs. My third album is huge, like uber goth, like one of the most amazing records in my life. Sisters of Mercy, Floodland. Their second record doesn't sound much like their earlier material. New lineup, Wayne Hussey was out, Patricia Morrison in, sort of. Mostly Andrew Eldridge at the helm. So bombastic and over the top and ridiculous, like produced by the guy who did Meatloaf records. I think this is 1987. This Corrosion, guys, Dominion, Mother Russia, Lucretia, you know these songs, right? Lucretia is my jam, like of all jams of all time. It's like my favorite song to dance to. Flood 1 and Flood 2, I think, are like sex on wax. I love the grand gesture of Floodland. Just went for it. Big budget. And to me, it holds up. Yeah, it's an 80s record, but it's like the best kind of 80s record. It is a desert island disc for me. If I could only listen to like 2 or 3 records for the rest of my life, Floodland, it's on the list. I could probably talk about the Sisters of Mercy, actually, for a whole other video and go through all my records because they're one of my favorite bands. Let me know if that's something that you think I should do. Moving on, this one is different because it is not rock and roll at all. It's my first Dead Can Dance album, Within the Realm of a Dying Sun. I think I heard it on the radio, like a classical radio show, and I never heard anything like this either. It's like a movie soundtrack, but for all of my like late night college writing by candlelight bad poetry sessions, orchestral, and I guess world music, you could call it. Dual vocals, yin yang, Liisa Gerard and Brendan Perry. Some people like one or the other. I love both of them. Beautiful compositions, just so grandiose. And, you know, I'm not a classical music expert, so I don't know how many other bands were doing this before, but certainly I consider Dead Can Dance to be incredibly unique. And when I first heard this album, I saw the label here, 4AD. It's my first 4AD record. So then I discovered the Cocteau Twins and This Mortal Coil and Lush and all these other amazing bands. And so for that reason, Within the Realm of a Dying Sun is on the list of records that changed my life. I thought a lot about what Skinny Puppy record to pick because I like a lot of them. And when I first heard their music, it was another one of those amazing, like mind-blowing discoveries. But I picked something from later because what really changed my life was Vivisect 6 because of the message of this record. I was already fully on board with the sound, the horror movie samples, Ogre's crazy stream of conscious, distorted vocals, wild, heavy, experimental electronics, awesome dance beats. This is a record that's anti-animal testing, anti-animal abuse, basically. And it's one of 2 or 3 things that I discovered as a teenager that inspired me to go vegetarian and find out what cruelty-free products were all about. So I stopped using cosmetics that were animal tested when I was in high school. And also Testure is on this record, which is just an awesome song. But for its message, I picked Skinny Puppy, Vivisect 6. And if you like industrial music and you haven't gotten into this band, it's time. Do it. I couldn't talk about the soundtrack to my life without including Kate Bush, The Hounds of Love. I think it was my gay goth boyfriend in college that introduced me to her and this record. This was pop like I had not heard before, romantic and poetic. That's what I was missing in my record collection with all of those like dark, sexy, noisy records was the feminine romance. And Hounds of Love has it like overflowing with Running Up That Hill and The Big Sky and Cloud Busting and all those huge songs. But this B-side, which she called The Ninth Wave, this suite of songs, I can't believe in 2014 I got to go see her sing this stuff. I still feel like so grateful to this day. If you've ever wondered what the big deal is about Kate Bush, or if you've never heard of her, she's one of the best modern pop artists, I think, and certainly my favorite female vocalist and songwriter of all time. Start with Hounds of Love. You won't regret it. My next record is a single. It's Warm Leatherette by The Normal. Who is The Normal? I had no idea when I bought this. Daniel Miller, founder of Mute Records. I just thought it was weird. I heard it like in a nightclub, and someone told me, oh, it's based on a J.G. Ballard novel. I was like, cool. I like J.G. Ballard, I think, at that time. It felt so transgressive to me. Like I had never heard this kind of message in a song, this kind of like weird fetish angle. And then of course, like so minimal and yet so heavy. I think I probably like techno because of how much I like Warm Leatherette. And I used to play, I had this 7-inch and I taped a cassette where I would just like loop this song over and over again so I could listen to it on repeat in the bath. Yeah, it was definitely a time in my life and I still love this. Warm Leatherette, it's the best. So far, everything I've talked about has been from the 80s because that was my youth and my musical discovery period, but also a great time for music. But I don't want you to think that I stopped looking for the next thing or my new favorite record because I'm always looking. So a couple of select later albums that changed my life, and this one, because it's later, is on CD. It is Massive Attack, Mezzanine. For sure, trip hop is one of my favorite styles of music overall of all time. And I heard this because of Teardrop, the single that has Elizabeth Fraser from the Cocteau Twins on it. That's what sort of introduced me to Massive Attack. And then I was like, what is this? This is like things I like about Depeche Mode, but like so much darker. The production on here is extraordinary. I think you could play it now. You'd think it was made last year. The songwriting, the execution, like, you know, I listened to a lot of electronic music in the 80s and it was really fun, but this, like, just stands out to this day. Angel, Inertia Creep. I think this is one of my favorite, like, sexy records. If I've ever put a song from this on a mixtape for you, I liked you a lot. Yeah, this is a late night CD for me, and I love it. Massive Attack, Mezzanine. I remember the first time I heard Sigur Rós, or Sigur Rós. Didn't know how to say it then, still don't really now. It was full of mystery and wonder, and I loved it. And this is the second record that I heard, which I bought and I still love. I'm not going to try and pronounce it because I would only embarrass myself. But, you know, this is the side of me that wants things to be ambient and orchestral and majestic and sad and joyous and all of that at the same time. You know, post-rock was a thing in the late 90s, but I never got that into it. It felt like dude music to me, like record store geek music. This though, man, I loved this, and I've continued to buy their records and go and see them as much as possible because I don't think there's anything like them on planet Earth. So all of their records, but especially my first love, Sigur Rós, changed my life. Last, finally, like a new record, like from this millennium. It's my favorite band of the last 5 years. It's Savages, and this is their second album. It's called Adore Life. I got into them because the singer sounds like Susie, they say. Yeah, well, she also is like Patti Smith and Iggy Pop and all the other sort of like raw punk rock stars that I love. This is a band of 4 women making visceral punk rock, post-punk, I don't know, just awesome rock and roll music. So much energy, and like I love the rhythm of it, and I love the sentiment of it, and I can't wait for what they do next, and I hope that the next time they come through town, you're all there because they're so good. So my number one recommend for a new band is Savages, and Yeah, I love them. So that's me talking about music for 10 minutes. Do you dig it? Do you want to hear more of this kind of thing? Let me know. I'm going to go dig around for some more records, and I will be back soon this time.